The Labour Party leader, Andrew Little, is in the studio and joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, look, everybody's known there's a homelessness problem. Things are being done. What could be done right now to try and change some of these figures?
What these figures show is that actually it's getting worse. So even of a year ago, it was taking half the time to get people who were living in cars and garages and outside on park benches into a state house. Now it's taking twice as long. And the reason for that is that the government has just boarded up a whole heap of state houses. They're waiting to sell them, and they've sold a heap more. So what they could do is the state houses that they've got that are boarded up, it doesn't take a lot of effort to get many of them ready for someone to live in. They could do that pretty smartly. And then they've just got to do what everybody's been saying they need to do, forget the state house sell-off and just get on to building more state houses that you can get more homeless people into.
A lot of things are being done. You know, we had money announced in the budget for emergency housing, looking at something like modular housing perhaps. The Minister says actually if anybody's in a dire situation, if they go to WINZ, they should be getting help. Is there some difficulty with those particular people that are choosing not to go to WINZ for help?
Well, these are people who are registered with WINZ, who are regarded as priority A because they are the worst in the sense of homeless. They're not people who are living in a house but that's overcrowded. These are people who have no house at all. And the categorisation of their level of homelessness is at the time they are eventually placed in a house, whether it's a state house or a private rental that is subsidised by the state. The Minister has been saying that, no, the categorisation is at the time they apply. That is wrong. So these are people who don't have a roof over their heads, are going for months and months and months longer before they get placed in a house.
The Minister is saying that emergency options are there. If they front it up, they should be able to get some sort of help, be it in a motel or wherever.
Well, she needs to talk to the NGOs who are providing the emergency housing. Now that she announced, or the government announced, they're going to assist those organisations with capital grants. Those NGOs are saying even that is not enough. The 50% assistance with building new houses and new places is not enough. They can't make it work. Whatever the government's doing clearly isn't enough because the problem's getting worse.
Isn't there always going to be a bit of a lag though? Whatever you decide you're going to do, whether it's your suggestion, open up some of those state homes, do some more building, it always takes a bit of time. Aren't things always going to get a bit worse before they get better?
Well, you expect there to be a bit of a lag from the time that somebody finds they don't have a roof over their head and they're homeless, they're genuinely homeless, to the time they get placed. There's always going to be a bit of a lag. You expect that to be, if not days, certainly maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but not the 7 months and 8 months that we're seeing now for people. And knowing that this problem has been there, even as of last year, it was taking more than 3 months to house people who were in the chronic homeless situation. Now we've doubled that time and it's just getting worse because whatever the government's doing simply isn't working.
If we could just change tack slightly. This morning there are also economic figures that are talking about New Zealand's economic outlook. Key commodities like milk products, they've bounced back up and it's expected this week that the current account deficit might shrink to its smallest in a couple of years. I mean, good news for the country. Is that bad news for Labour though? Does that show the government's doing a good job of managing the economy?
Well, everybody wants to see good economic news. We need, as a country, small country, we need to be paying our way. We need to be exporting well, and we need our businesses to be thriving and doing well. And that's all good news if that's what they're going to announce later in the week. But let's contrast it with other information we're seeing coming out. So we're seeing that incomes for the bottom half of the workforce are largely static. We're seeing the bottom 20% of wage and salary earners now spending more than 50% of their income on accommodation costs. That's rental or their mortgages. This is not an economy that's working for everybody. We've got growing income inequality, growing inequality in a range of other areas. The idea that you can actually be on a reasonably good salary as a couple, both partners in a couple earning well in Auckland and still can't afford to buy your first home. That's actually a measure of inequality. So we have an economy that seems to have picked up and doing well and helping some, but for a whole heap of others, actually, it's not serving their needs and their interests, and that's not good.